Hello and welcome to the Media Mastery Show. My name's Aldwyn Altuney, and it is with great pleasure that I introduce a very special guest tonight. In fact, he's one of my very earliest mentors when I started researching personal development and looking at how I could be the best version of me. And his name is Michael DeMaco Rowland, and he is Australia's leading personal development author. He's a filmmaker, and he is a speaker and presenter who has toured with some of the biggest names on the planet, with people like Deepak Chopra and Louise Hay and Marianne Williamson. He's a phenomenal person. He has taught to over 220,000 people across the world, and it is with great pleasure that we're going to be talking about some marketing tips and life in general tonight with Michael Rowland. Hello, Michael, and welcome.
Thank you, Aldwyn. Very nice to be here. Thanks for having me.
Thank you so much for joining me. And, really, you've been in this game a long time now, and you would have seen a lot of changes in that time. Is it about 40 years or so for you now that you've actually been in the personal development field, or longer?
I started public speaking in 1988, just with our own company. But prior to that, I was doing other things as well. But we kicked off in '88, really. That was the start of it all. So, okay. Golly, that's 30 years, isn't it? Just about.
Yeah. So the internet wasn't even around back then. So how did you go about marketing
It wasn't.
Marketing what you were doing in the early days? How did you get people to your events in the early days as opposed to how things are going nowadays?
Well, in the early days, we knew nothing about marketing and sales. We didn't even think would be necessary. It took us a little while to wake up to that one, and we started to study it, of course, which is always the key. You've got to educate yourself. And basically, we started with a magazine called 9 to 5. I started actually with the Sydney Morning Herald. I bought a big ad in the Sydney Morning Herald. Then we went to 9 to 5, which was a magazine given away on trains for free, and we bought the center pages out of that quite inexpensively. And gradually, we started to find that it made money. And then we tried radio, went into radio after that. We didn't know what we were doing once again. It's very good to know what you're doing before you do these sorts of things. And then we went into TV. We went up to Cairns, and we put adverts on, television adverts, spent a couple of $1,000s in those days. There's an advert we just shot, almost haphazardly, but it was a very simple advert, just me talking to camera. And that, surprise of surprise, packed out. We got 2,000 people at the Hilton in Cairns, which was 2% of the population in those days, came out to see our free talks over a 5-day period. So that's how we kicked off. And from then on, it was television, radio, basically, that got everybody in.
Yeah, so traditional media, really, in the early days, a lot of traditional media marketing. And where do you think nowadays, traditional media marketing, the TV, radio, and newspapers, magazines, etc. of the world, where does that fit in now with the overall mass media market, with the market that is now, the world market, and so easily accessible now online? How important do you think traditional media marketing is nowadays compared to the online marketing?
Traditional media is very tough now, simply because of one word: Facebook. People are on Facebook rather than watching television. I know I watch far less, minuscule, probably 1% of the television I used to watch before the web came out. And I think that most people, our experience is that people would rather jump on a webinar than come out to a free talk. They do still like to come out to things, live events, but basically the ease with which our marketing would work prior to the web becoming big was shocking. We should have been very, very happy in those days to think how easy it was. But, the web itself is just another tool to be mastered, and you have to pay attention to it, discover and learn what you can. And it's probably, 100 times more effective once you have got your head around it.
Yes. Well, I think, traditional media gives a lot of credibility nowadays, particularly when reputation marketing is such a big thing online now, where people don't know who they can trust in the online world. So I think traditional media still has, a lot to stand for there as far as, helping boost credibility for people. It does help show your product and leverage what you do, your product and service, to the masses still through traditional media. The thing is, generally with traditional media, whether it's a local paper or magazine, you're limited to that specific area with that publication or with that radio. Generally, they're regional specific, unless they're a national media or international media. And I guess that's the beauty of the online world now, is that we're so accessible to the whole world now, just with the click of a mouse. And people do want things instantly now. So the instant media, social media, instant media is huge. So how have you incorporated all the new technologies into your marketing mix with the seminars you've been doing, and say with even marketing your film, Being in Heaven, and your book, Absolute Happiness? When you did those, were you using a mix of traditional and online media at the time, or what worked for you?
Yes, the book was traditional media. There's no doubt about it, because I would hold it up in my television adverts for the seminars themselves, and that sold an awful lot of books wherever we went, because it was primetime news and 60 Minutes. I used to advertise in that level. I mean, we'd spend $150,000 in advertising when we were doing the big seminars, where we get 5,000 people coming along for the free nights, and 10,000 and 14,000 was the most we had over a week. These sorts of numbers you can only get through television in those days. But now what we find is that in the last 5 years, certainly, possibly longer, that we have ceased to use the traditional media in the way that we did. The reason being that we tested it and it just didn't deliver. And there's this sort of period where you have to transfer yourself across. The way traditional media will work for you is through publicity, PR, articles about what you're doing, and those hopefully seep over into the online traditional media, let's call it. The newspapers have all moved over there, and the magazines. I can't remember the last time I bought a newspaper, actually. I used to read the papers every single day, but in the last year, I really, or more, actually 2 years, I probably haven't. I bought a paper 5 times, that's all. And I get all my news and information from the web. So I'm sure I'm like everybody else, or a lot of other people. And so if you're not in the traditional media, then of course people aren't reading you in the media. Well, you've got to think very carefully and budget yourself very carefully and research very carefully. Can this work? Obviously, in some things it can work, but print was always tough for my kind of field. TV and radio work well together. You need them together. But funnily enough, how everybody's saying today, you've really got to be on video. That's what they're all saying. And we're on video right now. So that's what worked for us well. It was television. That's it. Television is video. And that worked the best because people like to see things. And I think the skill that everybody needs to learn, or one of the many skills, certainly is to do with video. We've made 32 individual home study courses on a variety of subjects, and many of those have video in. And I think today that people really need to get their head around video, because people just want it. They're reading less and less text, however good it might be. You might get people reading articles, good, online, I might add. But I think that, I will not go back to traditional media now. It's gone for me in my particular business. Okay, interesting. All right, very good. So the online world then, looking at the online media and the videos that you've done, so how important then is, say, YouTube marketing, which is really what we're doing here on this Google Hangout on air. It's going to be recorded live and put straight onto YouTube, and it's going live right now onto Google Plus as well. So how important is your video marketing like this, and what sort of strategy would you suggest to people, if they're going to do video marketing, what's the best way would you recommend that they do that? Okay, so the best way for video marketing will be essentially telling stories. There's a whole shift now, a movement away from traditional, what they call pain marketing or anxiety marketing, which is the traditional copywriting where they, whether it's in print or video, where they outline a problem that a person has and emphasize it and turn up the gas. You read all these things in copywriting books, you know, increase the pain, because then people hopefully will see your product as a solution to that problem they got in their life. That's how advertising has run for the last 100 years.
Yes.
People now are seeing through it due to the web. They see so much of it. They're now seeing through that very clearly. And they know that if a man who feels a lack of power buys a big sports car, you know, and they're selling him the animal power in the sports car, people are awake to that now more and more. So what people are looking for is something more transformational in the advertising that you offer. And really what people have to know is story writing, because we're in the era, as a book once mentioned, in the era of story wars, which is where companies are fighting to get their story into your mind. Now that story could be something simple, an image that tells a story, or it could be a full 10 or 20 minute story with the product appearing at the end of the story. Now, this is new, and people are still very much finding their feet in this because they don't quite understand it. And the other thing they don't understand is that archetypal marketing is coming in as well, because they've discovered that through images, and we're all being fed many more images because of Facebook now, so we're all being educated to respond to images, and the images that are tied in with the traditional archetypes in the conscious mind and the subconscious mind are the things that people respond to unconsciously. They don't know they're responding to them, but because an archetype structure in the mind, one of the foundation stones of the mind, the representation of an archetype is tremendously attractive to people. And so if you're into your media and media mastery, what is necessary now is to realize that there is a completely new language, literally a language coming up, which all of us have to master. And those who do master it become hugely successful. You can pick the brands out from Apple downwards of people who are tying in with archetypal structures in the mind. So you have to understand this, otherwise you'll just be, you know, running on empty. People will not resonate with what you've got. If Joe down the road has got his archetypal and image marketing direct speaking to the subconscious mind.
So can you tell me a bit more about that? I haven't heard of archetypal
archetypal marketing.
Yeah.
So basically, it's leading edge. I must admit, that's not really well out there, but it's used by the big brands, Coca-Cola, etc., because they have to keep up to date. When I was in England, we saw on the cinema. We went to the cinema, and there was an advert for Coca-Cola. You wouldn't know it because all the ad was people dancing and being sweet to each other, loving situations, all that kind of thing. It was nothing to do with Coke. And then at the very end, the frame came up with a bottle of Coke or a can of Coke, and the word love just came up. Now, that's a big, long vote of fall that Coke is something to do with love. But they were speaking to the archetype of love. This is what they were doing. And you can see Nike or that they're hooking into the archetype. What the archetype is if you imagine that your mind, your brain-mind complex, let's call it, is something that is made up of a number of building blocks. So like you build a brick wall with lots of bricks, your mind is built up with lots of pieces, let's call it. And your personality has a number of different slices to it as well, many different sub-personalities. And the archetypes are the stone of a house, the slab, if you like. So if you had a traditional house made up of big, huge, flat rocks, you know, there'd be a dozen of them would make up the equivalent of what a cement slab is today. Those are what archetypes are. And there are a dozen or so major ones and 50 or 100 other ones that are the strong structures of your mind. So they sit in there. Now, when you're growing up, what happens is that some of those archetypes get forced into the unconscious. So if you are a child in a classroom or a school playground and you get bullied, you might stand up in class and do something, everybody laughs at you, or any of those things. It knocks the archetypes down into your unconscious. So you lose the power of that, say, confidence archetype. Down it goes. It leaves a hole in your psyche. And what happens then is that you seek to refill the hole. But because you don't know it's an internal event, you project that out into the world. And when you project that out into the world, you seek someone or something that gives you confidence or whatever it is that you've lost, in order for that hole to be filled psychologically so you feel stable and strong. So if you have been disempowered in some way, you find some powerful effect, whether it's something that we mentioned cars before, maybe it's that, maybe it's people, you find yourself needing to fill the hole. Products now aim deliberately to do the same thing. So your brands now become archetypes in themselves. So the archetype of Nike is something like being a winner or something of that nature. And what happens then is that people wear the Nike shoes or the shirt or whatever it is, that psychologically, psycho-emotionally fulfills that hole. Now, if you are marketing without knowing that, you're behind the ball. You're in a losing streak. So it's absolutely crucial that you understand that life has moved on. Do you know what I mean? I mean, 50 years ago, there was no web. There was, cars were hard. It was still horses and around and all these things. It's the same with marketing. So your media, your marketing, your advertising, your communication, your relationship skills in your field must take into account these things.
Very interesting.
That makes sense?
Yeah, it does. So that would be one of the fundamental things you'd need to know before you put out a marketing message then.
Absolutely. In today's world, it's absolutely essential that you know that. So really, there are three things in marketing today which weren't like this before, but a bit, but not as they are today. Number one, you've got to work on yourself. You are the source of everything. The way that you relate to your customer is new. You have to be a relationship marketing, connected marketing. You have to serve marketing. You have to realize you are there to serve the customer very strongly, even though one should have thought of that before. A lot of people just sold a product and got the money and that was it. So that's the first thing is, are you entering into a path of self-development, which means increasing the power of your mind, increasing your perception, intuitive ability, those kinds of things, your ability to communicate with people, because it's very much a people to people now. It's not product to person, it's people to person with the products on the side, so to speak. Obviously people want the products, but you've got to realize that you are now the essential element, and the more that you invest in growth, particularly your own mind and personal development, the better you will be at perceiving what your customer wants and what you can do to communicate with them. You can't trust anybody who's not sure and familiar with what we're talking about here. So that would be the first thing that I would say in this changed world. The second thing is that because there is so much out there and so many people now starting businesses on the web all over the world, there's billions of people now offering something or looking for something. And therefore your next step is that you have to make sure your product really is a quality product, because quality does always sell, but it doesn't mean to say that's a tough, difficult thing to do. It's quite easy. In fact, it's probably easier to make a quality product than throw some rubbish out there. It's also much more enjoyable for you if you do that. And this is the easy path, the great path, which is, you like what you're doing, you enjoy what you're doing, and then you can communicate that vibe, if you like, that word will do, to your customer, because your customers will pick things up over the web very quickly indeed. So if you're slovenly, or just I'll take some money from the punters kind of attitude, and they're going even faster now simply because the competition is coming up. But fortunately, we can talk about this in a moment, that we are at a time where the opportunity to make a huge fortune, even a small fortune, is much easier now than it ever has been. And you've got a 2-year window for that, so we can deal with that a tiny little bit. And then the third point is that you have to promote as widely as you can until you find the niche in the promotions world that accepts and enjoys what you've got and responds to what you've got. So what people do is, when they promote, they just usually think, oh, this isn't working, you know what I mean? But there's 26 or more things that you can do to promote what you have so that people will respond. And different people go to different parts of the world of the web and respond in different ways to different things. And so that's part of the task now, is to look and see, how do my audience that I want to offer this product or service to, how do they respond, and to what do they respond? So those three things together, wide promotion, as you try find the one that works. Some people are happy to do Facebook advertising, you know, that's a good thing. But it's also valuable to, you know, to have, get stuff for free wherever you can. That's another big part of it. That's the offer that we have.
Yeah, well, they say, yeah, they're great points. And, you know, tying in with that too, they say people like to do business with people that they like and trust. And, you know, that comes nowadays with even more touch points, even more points of contact with your clients and with your tribe and your community than ever before. And I think now, particularly because we're bombarded with information on the internet, and, you know, we're bombarded with offers also, that I think, you know, if people see that you really care about them and you want to help them with whatever it is, whatever problems you're helping people solve, or whatever support you're giving them, you know, they will naturally want to do business with you if they're comfortable with you and if they know, like, and trust you. So, you know, getting out before those people and being clear on what they want, you know, so I guess surveying your people as well, asking them what they want, or noting the kinds of questions that you get from your target market. Once you work out what your niche is and what a good market is, then you can serve them best. So what I'm hearing really too is really listening to what people want, and, you know, being the go-to person in that field, if you know, if you're so inclined, to be able to serve those needs. Would you say that, Michael?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly right. And those fundamental truths will never change, that you really have to have the attitude of looking after the customer. That really is so basic that I'm surprised people don't seem to get it. But it is very, very basic and very, very necessary indeed, because, you know, the web passes the word around real quick as well. You know, you can get bad comments on your page or bad mouthing on reviews about yourself and that sort of thing. So people are having to step up much more than they used to and really be concerned. Now, a lot of people might be put off. I was put off by that when I first heard it, and I thought, oh God, I don't really want to spend my entire time, you know, having to get into deep relationship marketing with people, because I thought it meant I had to enter into a sort of long-term friendship with them. It's not like having a friend, relationship marketing. It's the wrong word, really, relationship marketing. It should be service marketing or something like that. But right. But certainly you want to relate to them as if they were a friend. You want to treat them in that sense, that you wouldn't want to shaft your friend, or you wouldn't want to do something that isn't of good value, because people leave, you know, they don't like that sort of thing. So that's a new way of having to do things. And you've probably noticed, as we all have over the last 5 years, how polite people have become from the banks and places like that now, because they're terrified of social media getting out there, you know. So everybody's really well trained and they're all being very nice, you know. Nowadays it's great. So
yeah, I personally, I love social media. I love
Yeah.
social media. I worked in traditional media for a long time, and I don't think it's fair that just a few people can control the mass media. I don't think that's really fair, and I don't think it's just or balanced. I think, unfortunately, there's too many biased opinions that have come across in mainstream media, and it's about time that people started speaking their truth and started looking at things a little bit differently, rather than a certain line that traditional media, mass media, traditional media organizations, big media, want you to believe. So I think it's actually very exciting that people are speaking their mind on social media, that anyone can create their own media now, as we are doing right here. And I think we're actually in very exciting times. And, understanding, yes, reputation marketing is a big thing now. People will Google your name if they're thinking of doing business with you. If they're wanting to find out about you, they will Google your name. And I know whenever I Google my name, generally in the top 5 listings, 3 out of the top 5 listings are social media sites. They're usually Facebook, LinkedIn, and Twitter amongst my website listings. So I find that very interesting. So if you're not on social media, whichever social media it is, people want to see that. They want to see what you're like as a person, and and they probably like to pry a little bit into your life. But I say, just don't only put on there what you want people to know about you, and you don't have to put all your intimate personal details on your social media. But it's a very powerful tool now to be able to get your message to so many people who otherwise would never have heard of you if we were just to rely on traditional media, on your local paper, or Australian TV shows even. It's very exciting times, and I think if you don't embrace it, you're going to be falling behind. And
yes, I think you're absolutely right there. I'm diving more and more headlong into it. I think social media is definitely the crucial foundation now of any campaigns that one might come up with, because it's so accessible and so many people are on it that you'd be a mug not to really take advantage of that. And you haven't got the traditional media really, it doesn't have, apart from some particular shows, doesn't have a chance against social media. So if you of course as an individual, as you've said, you can have your own media set up, and you can then become a star. You can set up your own Oprah station.
Yes.
And do that. And I think that what's going to happen for people is that, as the world changes, as the economy changes, the economic situation worldwide changes, then more and more people are going to realize the value of it and want to, and really, if they come into it properly and do the studies correctly, then they make their life so much easier. They've got a chance of having, even if they have a little something on the side, running a ebook or two in a little site of their own, which they run through social media, then of course they can make that extra bonus to their salary and pay off the mortgage or something like that. It's very nice to have extra strings to your bow. And really the string is now the orchestra of social media. That's it. I mean, what else? Yeah. Think about it. What else is there really?
Yes.
You can, Facebook advertising, LinkedIn advertising. It's the same thing. So what are you going to go to? You can write articles. You can, I suppose you can do, co-deals and joint ventures and all that sort of thing. But really, they all run off social media as well. So I would say that social media marketing should be one of the most subjects that anyone who wants to go into business studies, they really have to master it and master the web and how the web works, which is all ingrained.
Yes, and YouTube advertising is also now growing in popularity as video marketing is increasing as well. So the thing with social media, I say, is I believe it's good to diversify. So for example, I'm on Facebook, I'm on LinkedIn, Twitter, Google+, Pinterest, Instagram, and YouTube. They're the main ones I use. Now, there's plenty of other social networks out there. However, they're the main ones that I use. And what I like about diversifying across social media, you see, if one media decides to shut you down, as Facebook has shut people down, they've shut profiles down before. I know David Icke has been challenged, the UK author of about 20 books, who's out to challenge the dream world that we believe to be true. He says, David Icke. So he's been very challenged by Facebook, have been wanting to shut him down and shut down the truth that he speaks. So he's been challenged by Facebook. So of course he has his own website that he promotes on, and he has other social media that he promotes on, a lot more than Facebook. So I say, you know, don't rely on just one social media, because the thing is, even though you're putting your content and your blogs and things on there, you don't actually own that content. Facebook owns that, really. You don't own anything you put on any of the social media, and you have no control over what that organization wants to do with your content. So that's something to be aware of, is that at any moment you could be shut down for any reason. In fact, I had one of my Facebook pages, I had about 1,500 likes on it, and it suddenly got shut down overnight, and I never got a reason from Facebook as to why that happened. So it can happen at any moment, and that's why it is good to diversify with your social media and not just rely on one social media.
Right, okay. I understood there was, if you got a business page or something, some better, higher Facebook, you know, positioning. Does that protect you a bit more? Does it, because it's the robots that turn people off automatically, that something is read by the algorithm in a strange way and causes them to close it down. Is that something that could have happened to you?
Well, mine was just a personal profile, so I have no idea why it was shut down. It was just a personal profile, and I mean, I was so angry with that after that I just banned Facebook. I stopped using it for about a year or two after that, and just went on to Twitter and other things. But then eventually I came back to Facebook again. I kind of got sucked into the void again, back to Facebook, and I mean, things have been fine now. But, you know, I guess I never take it for granted, because you never know what could happen tomorrow with any of these sites. And
that's right. You've got to be widely knowledgeable.
Yeah, that's why it's good to have your So it's good to have your own website and to do other blogs and to diversify the field and get your message out to a wide variety of places, to do blogs and to do get your message out in a multitude of ways, so that people can access you. So if you think I think of the web like a big spider web, you know, and it's like every arm, every website you go to is like another arm of the web, you know, and it's just really building your web and spreading your wings out in this web, so that you reach more and more people and I guess capture, you know, more engaging people.
Yes, that's right. And what do you find is the best of all those social media for you, in the sense of the best responses, the most people come stepping forward? Facebook has the highest engagement, I find. Twitter is great as well. There's a lot of action on Twitter. I've got about 13,000 followers on Twitter at the moment. Facebook, I've got around 20,000 contacts on there. And LinkedIn is a business platform. I don't find too much engagement. I get a lot of personal messages through LinkedIn. The good thing about LinkedIn, though, is over 80% of people who are on LinkedIn are actually business owners or decision makers in companies. So that's particularly good for business marketing. So you find a lot of blogs and a lot of information about different business ideas and topics on LinkedIn. Twitter is great for getting in touch with traditional media, with journalists and with celebrities and people like that, because they're just tweeting like crazy. Oprah is a crazy tweeter, and it's a great way to connect and to find journalists and to track them down and to message them privately through that medium. Instagram is also now growing like crazy, and I think what people like about Instagram is it's pictorial based. It's just pretty much all pictures. You can put videos or photos on there, and so when you look at someone's Instagram profile, all you see is photos or videos, and you can post onto there, and the post will also go to Facebook and to Twitter at the same time. So Instagram works very well with those platforms, and that is really, that's said to be the next hot thing, particularly with younger people. They really like the visual aspect of that. But I would say, you know, Facebook is still the leader. Facebook is the original social media, and it is still the leading platform, I think, for business and for your personal profiles. And I think nowadays too, as people are just busier and busier, Facebook is a great way to connect with family who, like I have family in Europe who I connect with on social media. And, you know, just with a quick flick through, you can see everyone's photos. And, you know, as in the old days, you know, you'd have to get together for Christmas before you could see all the photos for the year, you know. And now it's fantastic. You can just connect with people so immediately through Facebook, with your family contacts, and then also, you know, target market
niches specifically with your business pages, and this is why Facebook advertising is so popular, that you can just, you know, choose your demographics. So specifically, you can go straight out to 18 to 35-year-old females who are into personal development, for example.
Yeah.
In the Byron Bay region, you know, you can specifically target that
Yes.
area if you're putting an event on in Byron Bay. So it's very, very powerful in that respect. So
yes.
Facebook
Sounds
is still
great.
the number one thing, although I think, you know, it's important not to ignore the others. And of course, you know, YouTube's huge. Video marketing is massive. I think it's very important to keep building your videos out there. And you know, there's nothing quite like video engagement. They say that if a picture is worth 1,000 words, a video is worth 1,000,000 words.
Oh, okay. Yes. And how long are you finding the videos? What advice would you give people about how long to make a video? Is it really the 1 minute sort of job, or are they looking at 20 minutes or more?
Yeah, generally they say actually no more than 3 minutes generally for engagement, because there's a big drop off after about 2 minutes. So if you're doing promotional videos around your business, so one thing you can do is you can do 10 FAQs, or frequently asked questions. So you just make a note of 10 frequently asked questions that people ask you, and just do a video at 3 minutes maximum, 2 to 3 minutes video, just answering that question and then leading people back to your website. And then the other thing they say is you could answer 10 SAQs, which is should ask questions. So questions that your clients should be asking you, they're not asking you, and answer those. You can do 10 videos of those and no more than 3 minutes.
One video per question?
One video per question. Yeah, so 3 minutes. That's if you're doing video marketing, if you want to really lead people back to your website, that sort of thing. What I'm doing here, this 1 hour is not a typical and probably not even a recommended thing to do, is to actually do a 1 hour interview. However, you know, I really like to delve in deep with people. I know I like the format of a 1 hour interview. I like how you can cover a lot of ground with that. I often find with a half-hour podcast, I feel that there's just not enough there, that I want to hear more. So for me personally, I like the 1 hour format. And with this, you know, people can watch as much as they want or not. However, with video marketing with business, they say 3 minutes is a good length.
And you would advise people of that as a like an advert, really, a straight ad, a 3 minute. Give valuable information with that 3 minutes. So you're answering questions like, right.
So a question could be, okay, what's the difference between publicity and advertising? So I would answer that and say, well, publicity is where you've got the third party credibility of a journalist who's reporting about what you do, as opposed to advertising, where you're actually paying the media for a spot to a feature, for example, as a quarter-page ad in a paper, or to have a 30-second radio. Journalists about you 3 to 8 times more credit.
Hello? I think you dropped out there, if you can hear me. Hello, hello. 52. What to press? There we are. Okay. I lost you for a moment there.
Oh, okay.
But
so,
you were talking, so that's good.
Okay, so I'm not sure where it cut out there, but basically I was comparing advertising with publicity and saying how valuable free publicity is with advertising. So that could be just an example of one frequently asked question that I could answer. So I could do a little video like that, which that probably went for about a minute or two. And then at the end say, now if you want to hear more, hop onto my website, aaxpose.com. Hop on there. I've got a great report there that gives you 15 crucial steps to gain free publicity. And hop over there. You know, that could be just a simple little.
So why would they look that up? What would you do? What would you tag?
Free publicity. If someone wants to know how to get free publicity, they'll just Google free publicity, and because I've got a 3-minute video on it, I look like an expert in that topic.
Yes.
And that will lead people back to my website.
So traditional marketing: search the keywords, make a product that make a video that matches the keyword, and drive them back to your site. Okay.
Yes.
Great. And that goes well for you, video YouTube marketing?
I think it's fantastic. I mean, there's a lot more I could do in that field. The sky's the limit with that. But yeah, absolutely. You know, the first Media Mastery show I did, we had 400 views overnight. And this is with the 1 hour format.
Right.
So this isn't even specifically, you know, business marketing. However, if people are looking up media, they could find this show. You know, Media Mastery, mastering the media. this could pop up for them. So your video marketing is very, very powerful, and very powerful on the search engines. And so when people are searching for things, that they will lead back to your website. Because if you think about it, a lot of people now, when they're searching for how to do things, they look up the video with the instructions on how to do things. People learn very quickly that way when they actually have a visual of what's happening, an instructional visual. So yes, video marketing, very powerful. And yeah, depending what field you're in. I mean, Facebook and Twitter, if you're only going to do 2 social media, just do Facebook and Twitter if you're only doing 2. And a lot of traditional media now, you'll see that they actually say at the end of the news broadcast, or even during, like for example, Q&A, so question time on the TV, you'll see there, it says, put your comments on Twitter, and they give the hashtags and all that sort of thing. And they put comments up regularly through traditional news broadcasts now, feeds that come through via Twitter and Facebook. So more and more now traditional media is blending in with social media. And and I often, if I'm watching traditional media and I want to make a comment, I will hop on the social media and I will actually make some comments on that, because that actually attracts a lot of people back to your social media as well. Because you're now tapping into traditional media to lead people back to your social media, and vice versa.
Yes, that's right. And how from your point of view do you see? I mean, I've got a bit of an idea myself to monetize it. How would you monetize? Basically, with YouTube, you mentioned give them a little ad, send them back to your site, offer them a product on your site, and that is the standard thing across Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn, with the articles and everything like that. Is that basically the new model that you've discovered? The model is really that if you give people lots of great valuable information, and some people will say, give 3 lots of valuable information where you're helping people, you're giving them some new content, and then on the 4th time, offer them something special, offer them a $27 ebook, or a free ticket to something. And some people say after 4 lots of giving people free information, on the 5th time, then then give them an offer. So, but yeah, I would say at least it'll be 3 much more expensive. Do you mean?
Well, at least 3 times of giving valuable information, giving good content, showing that you care for people before you even ask them to buy anything or give them an offer of any sort, as far as to asking them to pull their wallet out. But yeah, they really want to see some valuable content and see that you know what you're talking about. Yes. And then when they're looking for an expert in your field, which often, the stats are that there's only about 7 to 10% of people at any one time that are actually looking to buy your product right now. So the thing is to be front of mind, so that when people are ready to buy your product, that they will think of you when that time comes. Yes. And so it's important to just stay in contact with them the whole time along, and then when they're ready, they'll come to you. So I have a lot of people like that, for example, who want publicity, but they say, well, my website's not quite ready now, but we know where you are and we'll come to you when we're ready to go. And that's what they do. Then I'll get a call a few months later and they're ready to go, and they'll come to me. If they like and want to work with me, that is, Yes,
of course. And do you find that you send out regular emails to them, or occasional emails, or emails at all? Or is Facebook itself and Twitter and all those enough for you?
Emails are great. Email marketing is great. However, now more so than emails is SMS marketing. SMS marketing is now becoming even more powerful than email marketing, because they say if you have a 25% open rate with your emails, that you're doing well with that. So people are just being bombarded with emails nowadays. And I find actually I get a lot more engagement with my social media nowadays than I do with my emails. SMSs, I do get a high response rate. I often send bulk SMS messages out, and I find that very effective as well. Okay,
great. So yes, I've done all those. I've done all those things myself, and found them very good. So that's very good advice. And so people, basically, what do? You offer a service of getting, the publicity, the media. Do you train people in media mastery, or do you offer them professional advice and help? Do you handle campaigns? What kind of things do you do?
Yes. This is interesting, because it's like I'm meant to be interviewing you, Michael, but we'll talk about me. Talk about me for a second. That's not a problem. Alden, thank you. I'm honoured. Well, I have a program called Mass Media Mastery where I train people in getting free publicity if they want to learn themselves, or if they have a marketing person working with them that they want to give them inside knowledge on how to get free publicity in traditional media, also how to market in social media, and how to maximise online media and online news sites as well when they put a press release out. And then I have another service where I basically do all the PR for people, and I guarantee results with that program. So I guarantee media exposure, which I don't know any other PR companies that actually guarantee exposure with the media packages. So I have that package as well. And apart from that, I love connecting with people, and I'm very passionate about helping people get inspiring messages out into the media. You know, 1 in 5 people have depression, Michael, and you may know this being in the personal development field. And, you know, I think a lot of it has to do with the negativity that they're being bombarded with often, and through social media or through online media. So I'm really out to help raise the consciousness, raise the awareness around this, and to have people really see the ripple effect of, you know, the messages they're putting out there. You put a positive message out there, you're going to lift you're going to lift someone up, or if you put a negative message out, how can you turn that into a positive? So, for example, I did a fundraiser for orangutans last year. So orangutans are critically endangered. That's a negative thing, right? However, we said, well, this is what we're doing. We're doing an animal action night event. We're going to be raising money for the Orangutan Foundation, and that's going to help with the orphaned orangutans in Indonesia, for example, right? So that's how we can turn a negative into a positive. So, you know, how can you do that with the messages you're putting out there? So I'm very passionate about inspiring action for animals, and also to help get positive messages out in the media and help people speak the truth. And so I have Truth Expose TV coming up next week, which you're going to be speaking on. And you have just returned, Michael, from 3 years in the UK, and you're now back in Byron Bay. So what have you been working on? What have you been working on, and what have you got coming up for us?
Well, I've been concentrating on, I'm very, very keen on marketing. I'm very keen on helping people set themselves up with an extra string to their bow, which can give them the laptop millionaire's life as well if they follow it down. That is a truth. One can do that, you know, or maybe it's $500,000, but certainly it's much, much more than you get with wages. And so I'm very keen to dig deeply. I've got that sort of mind that likes to dig deeply into things and find things out. And I really do enjoy making the kinds of things that people say, oh, it's very difficult to understand. I like making them simple. And that's why I became the biggest seminar leader in the country, because I could take, you know, complicated ideas and digest them down and make them very simple and straightforward. So I'm turning my attention, in addition to my personal development, my meditation training. I've taught more people to meditate in Australia than anybody else. So in addition to that, and writing, how to write well, filmmaking, all that, I see a huge need for people to take advantage of the web in a way that they haven't before, or haven't even considered that they should or could. And I'd like to show people how they can actually very simply start at least some part-time or casual work with the web, just to become web savvy, because the world is going to divide between those who are web savvy and those who aren't. Those who are web savvy will be the ones that gain the wealth, and those who aren't won't. And it's quite a challenging time coming up, which we'll talk about next week. But the biggest opportunity in a people's lives is right now in the developed world. For the next 18 months to 2 years, there is a huge opening, a huge advantage, where many, many people will be seeking out information in order to keep them employed in their jobs and build, you know, extra money. But there's a huge avalanche of people coming through. Hundreds of millions of people now know this is coming. They know about the robots, they know about artificial intelligence, they know about the web, and all these things are coming together as a hybrid. And you've got to be on your toes. And the simplest way for anybody to start and to expand is by learning these on the web. So marketing is the key. Who you are, what you know about marketing, how to make the products that people will buy. How do you produce products? I've got 31 home study courses. I'm on the 32nd at the moment. Quite large courses. And these are aimed at getting people into the right frame of mind, as well as the tools in which to generate the income that they want, how to heal their money life. Many people have been damaged during their upbringing about accepting wealth into their life. That's a huge one as well.
Yes.
So what I'm doing next is I'm doing in the Gold Coast on the 18th and 19th of June, about 4 weeks away nearly. I'm doing a whole course on internet and life success. So we're going to teach people all this new marketing, the archetypal marketing, speaking through images, what you're looking for, what is story, how to create the proper products that you can sell, online products, how to make online products. It's easier than anybody thinks. It really is in this day and age with all the tools that are free and available. And basically what we like to do also is show you how to build a huge email list. And we'll probably talk about social media too, without any doubt, but not on the personal level that you're obviously offering. But it's going to be a great weekend. Anybody who wants to save a decade, then they could go along. I'm happy to speak to them on the phone, and they can go to my website, which is businesswarrior.com. Businesswarrior.com. They can just leave a message there, and I can get in touch, or we can send them an email or something like that. But it really is, I would advise, whether they can come or not, whether they're listening in Alaska or Thailand, if you can't come, then I strongly advise everybody to do it. And the only way you become web savvy is by being able to sell something on the web. And if you can't sell something unless you've got people to come to have a look at what you've got. So we'll give you the very simplest way, the one-page way, as we call it, to get started and get something up and running, an ebook or whatever, a little short course, so that you can generate that income. Because that's the way to a life of freedom. If you want a life of freedom in today's and the future's world, as you well know, it's got to be something to do with the internet.
Yes.
Otherwise, you miss out. It really will be, shocking for a lot of people.
That sounds like a fantastic.
So yes.
Yeah, that's brilliant. And if you're actually watching this right now, and it is after June 18, 19, Michael, you have ongoing courses, is that right? And different programs you offer through your website, businesswarrior.com, so they can.
That's exactly right. Yes, I'm constantly offering things. And once you join the e-magazine, you get invited to regular free webinars. I do a lot of free stuff, free webinars, giveaways as well, because I'm keen for people to get the knowledge, get the information. So come to businesswarrior.com, put your name in the squeeze box there, and I will keep you informed of everything that's coming up, and you'll be on the mail list, and you'll hear about these great webinars that we put on all the time. Our webinars are always sold out, so to speak, in inverted commas, but I'm expanding the amount of them, how many people can fit in. And I really feel that the biggest public service you can do today is really to help people retain or increase their income, because without a job, things aren't fun. So you want to help people do that. And of course, social media, the web, the understanding of these simple skills, easy, simple, enjoyable skills. Everybody knows something. Everybody's got something in their history. And if they haven't got anything at all, which is very unlikely, then it only takes you a short period of time to learn something valuable to other people who they'll be willing to pay for with their whole list that's there of people on social media.
Yes, fantastic. That's great. And I'm very curious, we'll wrap up this shortly. I'm very curious about what you said about a lot of people have trouble accepting wealth into their life. So what are some
Okay, you've just frozen there. Say that again, Aldwyn, because you just froze up a little bit there for a second.
Through the fundamental thing, accepting money into their lives. What are some things that people can do? Because no matter how many marketing tips we give people, if they've got issues around accepting money and accepting wealth and abundance into their life, it doesn't matter what tips we give them, it's just not really going to help them much. So what are some basic
You're absolutely right.
What are some things people can do to work through that?
Okay. The first thing that I would suggest, this is all part, I've got a 6-month course called Money Streaming, which is about partly a little bit about the web, about how to recondition your mind for wealth, how to heal your money life, because if you think about it, when you're growing up, if anybody has made you feel, say, disempowered in some way, the chances are that you'll project that onto money, and you'll keep money out of your life, even though you might be the most educated and highly skilled person. You'll keep money out of your life, or if you were never at the top of the class, you might feel, golly, I'm nobody, I'm nothing, I'm not much good. All those sorts of feelings that go in. So what you do, number one, is you get a vision for your new life. This is the first basic step. You must have a vision for your life. You must know where you want to go, even if it's only a little step further on from where you are. Goals are great, they're part of it, but you want to realize that you need a vision, and you also need to realize that your mind is not only unconscious, subconscious, conscious, but there is also the superconscious. And the superconscious is the word that describes all the higher intelligence, all the higher faculties, creativity, innovation, intuition, inspiration. All those things are within us all, but they've been squashed out of us due to our conditioning, our upbringing, in other words, never encouraged. And so it's really important to understand that you have a superconscious mind that has infinite capabilities that you've never even used. And you've seen it, and you've glimpsed it in your life, but you really want to bring it out. And that's what Steve Jobs spent his life focusing on, the superconscious mind, which allowed him to, become the wealthiest, most valuable company in history, Apple Computers. So you have far more potentials than you've ever imagined. And you need to do your personal development in order to get them. But it starts with the vision. Number two is understanding your mind is the faculty that creates your entire life. Through choices, through reactions, through behaviors, through personality, that is what makes your life be what it is. I'm not talking about earthquakes or volcanoes, obviously. I'm talking about what you choose, what you decide to do. Where did those choices come from? Why did you choose those things in your life? So I would sit down, I would write out a list of things that you are not satisfied with, and then write the opposite, which is what would satisfy you in that as well. So those are the two things I would start with. And then from then on, you get into proper mind work, which is disciplining the mind, training the mind to bring you what you want in your life. And the mind is the most fascinating faculty you'll ever find within yourself. It's invisible. You can't put it in a test tube and look at it. It is an invisible faculty, but it completely controls your reactions, your behaviors, your personality, your choices, your decisions, everything of that nature. So really get your mind together. That would be my most important thing about money. It really would, about healing the past, inhibitions that have been put into you. And it's a fascinating subject. You can do one on money one day.
Yeah, and a lot of people just do not even realize that they have financial issues around their mindset, etc. So just being conscious that you do have issues around accepting financial abundance into your life is really important. So
yes, you've got to invite it in. You've got to allow it in. You've got to encourage it to come in. Taking the actions are probably 10% of it. It's the mind itself which is the key.
Yes. Okay, my partner's just arrived and we're about to go out, and he's making some noises in the background.
Okay.
And we're of course live on it.
Okay, we'll get the shot. Yes.
So we're about to head out. But now we're going to be chatting next Tuesday. We're speaking on Truth Expose TV, and we're going to be talking about the changing face of income generation.
Yes.
And a few other things next Tuesday. So
that'll be very interesting. It will be. It's great stuff.
That's going to be at noon next Tuesday. So that's Australian Eastern Standard Time. So look forward to catching you there. Thank you so much, Michael, for being my guest tonight on the Media Mastery Show. And it's been fantastic speaking with you. I'm sure your workshop is going to be wonderful. So make sure you get along to that website again, which is businesswarrior.com. Is that correct?
Correct. Businesswarrior.com.
businesswarrior.com. And of course, Media Mastery shows are on regularly, so connect on YouTube with that, and we will look forward to chatting with you shortly on there, and of course next Tuesday with you, Michael. Thanks once again for your time.
Pleasure. Thank you.
Night. We'll talk soon.
Thank you. All right. Thanks, Aldwyn. All the best.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye for now.
Bye.